I do actually have a very lovely paella pan given to me by a friend for a birthday present.
Nice to have friends.
It is nice to have friends, isn't it, Auntie Mel? Thank you. In fact, Auntie Mel, I think you just gave it to me, I wasn't even for birthday. But it's definitely, if you like Spanish food and you like paella, invest in a paella pan. Because they make the world of difference. If you don't have a paella pan, I would have either, let's have a look, and I just put it in a nice frying pan that's very solid, or actually...
You've gone in the dark a bit there, you might have to bring it forward so I can see it.
So, if I didn't have a paella pan, I'd have popped it in just a frying pan, which is deep, but not quite deep enough. But equally, it's solid on the bottom. And
I believe that's known as a skillet.
Is it?
Mm.
Could be a skillet. And I do have another pan that I could have cooked it in. Not in that cupboard. Hang on. So until Auntie Mel gave me the pan, I would have cooked the paella. Oh, and it's quite heavy. I think from Sainsbury's pan, which does the same thing. What we're looking for is a depth and like a continual base for heat, where I can put the rice on eventually and not have to stir at all and not worry about it burning.
It's been used a few times, that one, isn't it?
Oh, about 20 years worth of use, yeah. So good pans are well worth investing. 20 years, probably 20 years, probably 20 years. Anyway, so today I have got the Real Meals Paella grab pack, and that will be available obviously this weekend. Let's have a quick look what's in the bag. Fresh seafood, pepper, fish stock, which you can use chicken stock from a stock cube, or even fish stock from a stock cube, but this will transform your dish from something I've just made tonight to something I've been out to a Michelin-starred restaurant to get for you, my love.
Tell us about these grab packs then.
So we're going to do a whole series of grab packs. A sprig of rosemary. But we're doing different ones each week, so you have to be on the ball. You have to get the ones that we're doing. Definitely, they're not all available at the same time. But every weekend there'll be a new grab pack. 2 tomatoes, and in the grab pack is exactly what it says on the tin. It's everything you need this week to make a paella. What else have we got? Saffron and smoked paprika. A couple of cloves of garlic. And what was this? Paella rice. So that's everything in the grab pack for tonight's paella. I'm just going to have a quick look through the recipe. It's always good to read it.
So, what's in the bag, Lorna?
First of all, the recipe, which gives you the recipe for paella and the top tips. So our top tips for paella are, it comes from Spain, so use Spanish ingredients. The paprika that we use in this recipe is this. Smoked paprika from Spain. It comes in 3 flavours actually, sweet, medium and hot. We use hot in our family because we love it, but feel free to use whatever you want. In the grab packs we put a medium sweet in. The rice, because this is a rice dish, this is the paella rice, but this is what we use. It's a Spanish paella rice, and never underestimate the different varieties of rice. If you're doing rice pudding, you need a rice that soaks in all the cream and comes very creamy. If you're doing risotto, you need an in-between rice that soaks up all the juices, but also gives you that really lovely creamy flavour for a risotto. So, here we go. The saffron in the grab pack comes in a little tin foil wrap. And what we want to do, can you see it's steaming, so it's really, really hot. I'm kind of toasting this. And I do want my paella pan hot anyway. While that toasts, I'm just going to shut the kitchen door.
So is it toasting in its little piece of foil?
In its foil.
Wow.
I'm going to shut the kitchen door because the smoke alarms will go off any minute.
So we just keep looking at this piece of saffron?
Yeah, 30 seconds on one side. So if you don't want to do this, because sometimes, like I say, your smoke alarms will go off. The alternative to doing this would be to put your saffron in a cup and just pour a couple of teaspoons of boiling water on it and let that soften. Basically, you don't want to use saffron unless you've done something to it. It's the most beautiful but more expensive per gram than gold. So you need to treat it with great respect, and I am toasting mine, but if this is a little bit scary, just put 2 teaspoons of boiling water over it, because you'll need the water anyway. Whoops, it will all come in. Right, let's turn that heat down and pop that on one side. Okie dokie, so saffron 30 seconds on each side, remove. The next interesting thing is, I'm actually going to season this pan all the way around the edge with a little bit of salt. Not too much, but it's a seafood paella and seafood does love salt. So just around the edge, and that's just, as you can hear, crackling a little bit. When it's really hot, drizzle in the oil. So it's Spanish. Using Spanish olive oil. The one thing about paella, definitely always go for your Spanish ingredients, because it's a Spanish dish and quality Spanish ingredients will make the difference. So that's smoking as well. Let's stir that salt into the pan. What next? Throw in the peppers and the onions. Okie dokie.
Do you have to throw?
Oh yeah, because it's going to spit. So you need to throw, otherwise you're going to burn your arms. But I did want it that hot because instantly, if you've got it really, really hot, it will sear the onions and the peppers. So as well as getting the lovely fresh flavour, so you can do this now because it's no longer red hot, you get a slightly smoky flavour. We all love a barbecue. And part of the reason is the flavour the barbecue can give it. And by throwing things into a red hot pan, you get part of that flavour. I'll just turn it up. I'm turning that up again just to get that heat intensity into it. And then I'm going to let this apparently fry over a medium heat for 5 minutes.
Well, okay, that sounds a good time to end the clip.
Yeah. So we've got the peppers and the onions that are frying over medium heat for 5 minutes. Add garlic, chopped tomatoes and chorizo. I find the easiest way to do this is to bring the pan to the chopping board. But I definitely don't want to burn my meat. I'm going to... Here we go. So add the tomatoes and the garlic and the chorizo. Pop that on there. I'm going to give that a little... I'm going to turn the heat up because I like the sound of a sizzle, and that's not giving me a sizzle. Oh, that's better, isn't it? So we'll sizzle all there. Just making sure that all this chorizo is touching the bottom of my paella pan, because I love that chorizo taste and flavour when it's slightly caramelised. So, add the garlic, done. Chopped tomatoes, done. Chorizo, done. Oh, pimento. So that came in the little grab pack. Might come in tin foil, it might not, because we don't want to confuse the pimento with the saffron. But we're going to add that smoked paprika. And that's very different to Hungarian paprika, which you might use for a lovely goulash. This is this one I was talking about. Bittersweet Spanish paprika. Very different. Like I say, if you're making a paella, which is from Spain, You really ought to be using Spanish ingredients because they know what they're talking about. So that's that lovely, oh, smells gorgeous. That is, I mean, I keep saying this throughout our entire Grab Pack series is, if only we could send you the smell of this, all those people watching this and thinking, oh, shall I, shan't I, would definitely be saying, I shall. So, garlic, tomatoes, chorizo and the penne. Oh, and the toasted saffron. My goodness me, it's all going in. And fry it for another 5 minutes, okay. Oh, look at this. So,
I did, but you moved your hands.
Sorry. That's definitely a different colour to the colour when we pre-pack these bags. So when you buy saffron from Spain, from Real Meals, it's a lovely red colour, and that's much darker. So I imagine that's got that really, really lovely smoky saffron flavour going in. And because saffron is more expensive per gram than gold, all those little bits that I've dropped by talking to you, I'm just going to put them in. There we go. That's down. So I'll turn that down because it says gentle. I'll do another little shake. I'm going to shake that. There we go. Because that's more efficient than stirring. It's all flat again. Garlic, tomatoes, chorizo, pimento, and saffron. 5 minutes. Okay. Add the stock and simmer. So, in your Grab Pack, you've got a lovely tin of Real Meals stock. We tend to have beef, chicken, or fish. And I cannot tell you how beautiful this is. Definitely in Spain or somewhere else, you'd be buying your fish whole. So this mixture of seafood here has got sea bass and cod in. So I'd have got a whole sea bass. I'd have been filleting my sea bass and I kept the bones. I've been filleting the cod and kept the bones. I've popped the bones in a pan and make my own fish stock. Super duper or buy a fish stock. And this lifts of this enormously. Now I want about a litre of stock, and in one of these tins is about, let's see, 330 millilitres. So I'm going to pop this into a jug. Now fill this up with a little bit of pre-boiled water from the kettle.
Good thing that tin has paper around it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hot actually. It's too hot to hold. It's very hot. And I'm just going to top that up to a litre. By doing this, you're just rinsing out all that lovely flavour, because I did see the lid there. £2.35. It's quite an expensive stock, so you definitely want to get the most from it.
You don't want the viewers to burn themselves, though, do you? Do you think that a judicious tea towel might be useful there?
So on reflection, I would maybe fill it half full, give it a little spin around and pour it in. Yeah, it's still not quite. Let's try the tea towel method. A bit more. Could you tell it was hot? Is that?
I was just thinking it's metal and it's got boiling water in it.
This is definitely better, actually. Definitely better. But you wouldn't have, yeah, definitely better. So here we go, here's our vegetables, which to me, whoops, there's the recipe. We're going to give it a little stir, another stir. I'll move this out of the way because it's in the way. The shake. Because giving it a shake, this is why chefs do it. I'm not a chef because my mum trained me to cook, not a college. She was trained by a college though. You give it a shake, you see, it just spreads it out really evenly in a way that you can't do with a spoon. Now, add the stock and simmer for 5 minutes. Well, there's the stock. So really it's 50-50 stock and water. You can use all stock, but because we've got such good ingredients, you don't need to. If you're wimping out and you're buying a lesser quality, you might need more stock. But there's my litre. 50-50 stock and water. Let's just bring that back up to the boil. Turn the heat up a little bit. Add the stock and simmer for 5 minutes. So I'm going to just bring that back up to simmer. I don't really need to stir it.
Okay.
At the end of light take, whatever.
Thanks, Minnie.
Thank you, Minnie. So this is absolutely simmering beautifully and has been for 5 minutes. One of the other things to paella is, when you add the rice, you must absolutely not stir, because when you stir the rice, all the starch in the rice will come out into the liquid and make like a stickiness, and the stickiness is for things like rice pudding or risotto, but definitely not paella. So I'm going to give it a really good stir now, so I'm confident there's nothing burning on the bottom. Then I'm going to add the rice. I'm going to give it one stir, and then the golden rule of paella is do not touch it for 15 minutes. And that's okay, because you can find something else to do. So, paella rice, here we go. So I'm just going to spread it really evenly across the surface. And as you can see, there's an awful lot of liquid in there, so we know we don't need any more liquid. I spilt a little bit of rice, so I'm just going to scoop that up. There we go. So at this point, you can give it one stir, just to incorporate all the rice, because of course, depending what type of pan you're using, you might need a good stir. So I'm going to give it one stir. And I use about 100, maybe a little bit more grams of rice per person. So in here we've got 2 to 3 people, so we've actually got in the Real Meals Grab Pack 250 grams or more of rice. And I'm going to turn that, I don't want a fast boil, I just want that to simmer. So I'm going to turn it down to a gentle simmer. I'm not going to stir. In fact, I'm going to set my little watch here. I am not going to stir for 15 minutes. See you soon. So, I'm not stirring. You maybe want to come and have a look at this Craig, because this is how it's going to look. So you get a bit scared that this is all sticking, but it's not. Basically, all that stock has cooked away and left a lovely flavour, and the rice looks quite dry, but that is absolutely perfect. In fact, it's what you want. You don't want that stickiness. You mustn't ever worry about the paella rice sticking to the bottom of the pan, because in Spain it's called something like the scarata, which is the most valuable part of the meal. You're ending up with a nice dry dish. It's not risotto, it's paella. So 15 minutes later, you can see all the stock has bubbled away, and that's what I've been waiting for, is that there's no liquid left. So I'm just going to give it a quick, look at that, little push through, I would say. It's not burning on the bottom yet, although you mustn't worry about that. There's a tiny bit of liquid left. I'm going to pop in the lovely sprig of rosemary and the seafood mix from Real Meals. Let's have a little look-see. So I'm just literally tipping that in. Very good. Okay, so we've got crevettes, sea bass, squid, cockles, we have cockles or mussels, and then crevettes. And what we're going to do with that is just spread it across the top, and then I'm going to dig out little pockets, so all the fish is going to get down there into a little pocket. So So it's going to get the real heat. And the last little bit of juice from the stock. And to help that cook without any extra heat, I'm going to cover it with some tin foil, and then we'll turn the heat right down. And literally that will take 5 minutes, and the reason I'm going to turn the heat down is because I've got no more liquid left. If there's a little bit of liquid left at home, cover it with tin foil and just, I've still turned the heat down. Just all the seafood that we put in the grab pack will cook in that steam. Let's turn that down now, so a bit more seafood. So there's a tiny bit of stock left, and I've turned the heat right down because all the seafood in the grab pack at Real Meals will cook in steam in 5 minutes. Today it looked like we had cockles, crevettes still in their shells, squid cut into nice fine rings, sea bass fillets cut up quite nice, and cod, which was cut quite small so it will cook in the same time that the sea bass will. If you're using your own seafood, you'll just have to judge how long your seafood's going to take to cook. Maybe add it a little bit earlier. If you've got big chunks of cod or hake or any other pollock, any other white fish, it will take longer. Then create those little pockets and pop it in maybe 10 minutes before the rice is going to be cooked. Mussels and cockles are identical. Normally you'll get mussels because cockles are incredibly expensive. But let's give that 5 minutes. I'm going to set that on my watch again, and should be cooked. So that's the pan, and it's got the tin foil over it. I'm not even going to look in there because if you lift the lid off, all the steam will escape. And the next thing we want to do is just turn it off and leave it completely for another 5 minutes. And during this 5 minutes, that seafood will finish cooking. The mussels or the clams will open, the prawns will all go pink, and we cannot peek because peeking will remove all the steam. So we'll see you in 5 minutes. So for the last 5 minutes, it's really important that you don't take this off and release any steam at all, because that seafood is just going to carry on cooking in its own steam. So I'll turn the heat off, and then I'm going to throw a tea towel over the top of the tin foil, and that will just keep it really warm. And give it 5 minutes, pour yourself a glass of wine, set the table, get ready for an absolute feast. So 5 minutes exactly is up, and gosh, I'm starving. I'm going to take that tea towel off and then have a little look at our paella. So don't forget, oh, look at that. Whoa, that's perfect. Oh, I'm so pleased with that. If there's any paella rice burnt to the bottom, it is called the sucarat in Spain, sucarat, which means it's the best part of the dish. I don't think on this instance, no, there's nothing burnt. But what you can see is the squid's got a lovely white colour, the prawns have all gone pink, which means they're cooked, and all the clams, or mussels if you've got mussels in your grab pack, have opened, so they're all completely cooked. And I'd just be looking for that. If they haven't, just pop the tin foil back on and the tea towel back on. Maybe put the heat on for another couple of minutes just to make sure. I think, look, I've got a clam there that's not opened. So a mussel or a clam, if it hasn't opened, don't eat it. But everything else is ready. So I'm going to give it one final stir. If I had any burnt to the bottom of the pan, I wouldn't be giving it a stir. I'd be serving off the top. But I would bear in mind, there's a little bit stuck there, look, you see there's a bit stuck there. The bit that's stuck on the bottom is, like I say, called the socarat, which is the best bit. Also, if you've got any leftovers of this paella, don't leave it in your pan. Pop it on a plate or on, in a bowl, ready for tomorrow, because if you leave it in the paella pan, it will start to take on quite a metallic flavour, which you just don't want. Let's have another pour on there.
Give it to your granny.
Give it to your granny. Granny loves it, yeah. Give it to your granny. If you're reheating paella, you can chuck it in a dry wok. Don't add any olive oil. Maybe add a couple of tablespoons of water to the wok. Heat it hot. Chuck the paella in. Stir it around a couple of minutes. Or put it in the microwave. But it definitely doesn't need any water added to it. Paella for 2 or 3. Or if you can, it's a tapas starter for about 8 of us.
Thank you very much, Lorna.
Super. Enjoy.